talking about the CRST Lease purchase flatbed division over at CRST. So anyways, got a little story when I first started trucking that's going to tie into what I want to talk about CRST. So I got my CDLs 2007, got out of school and went to TMC. TMC has a 2-week orientation. I guess it's a week orientation and a week of load securement, but it's 2 weeks. You spend 2 weeks. I was down in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. Got done with that. Went over the road with an owner-operator. You get placed with a trainer for 6 weeks once you get done with the 2 weeks of orientation. So I was placed with an owner-operator. This guy owned his own truck and owned his trailer. So owner-operators on TMC, and this was back in 2007, got paid 73% of the load. But since he owned his own trailer, he got 78% of the load. So I spent 6 weeks over the road with this owner-operator. And how TMC does theirs is basically he's kind of dispatched. And that's not really dispatcher, but it is. So how it would work was we would have a load, we'd pick up a load wherever, our first load of the week, or we'd have a load over the weekend. We'd start Sunday afternoon. We'd leave Sunday afternoon with a load, and we'd deliver it Monday morning. All right? And I think he already talked to the dispatcher. So he already had a load set up for Tuesday. So let's say we picked up our load on Monday. We already delivered our load on Monday, and we picked up on our load, and now we're driving to deliver that load, which we'll deliver on Wednesday or Thursday. As we're going to deliver that load, he gets a call from his, I'm just going to call him a dispatcher. I don't know what they actually call him. He gets a call from the dispatcher and says, hey, when are you guys going to deliver? And he'd be like, we're delivering tomorrow morning. He's like, okay, here's the loads I got that are close to you. So he had, I think my trainer had talked to the guy and told him how far he would deadhead, and so it gave him an idea of what loads to find for him. So basically, TMC found him loads. So he would call him and say, hey, I got X amount of loads. I got 5 loads. And then he would tell him, you know, it picks up here, delivers here. And then the trainer would just be like, okay, I want load B, for instance. And that would be it. That would be all the more work or whatever he would do for finding a load. He didn't have to find a load. They found loads for him. And then a couple minutes later on the Qualcomm, we'd get a notification, and we pulled up, and it'd be like, have all the information on load, where the load picks up, where it delivers at, when it delivers, when it picks up, how many miles it is, and how much money that he got to the truck. And that was it. So I was under the impression, when I started looking into CRST, it was the same setup, that I would be basically dispatched. I guess you're not dispatched, but they find loads for you. Well, at CRST, I was talking to a couple of the flatbed drivers that's doing the lease purchase right now, and you have to find your own loads. They got CRST's got a load board that has a bunch of loads on it that they have, but you can go to other load boards if you want to and find loads, but they have a list of approved brokers and approved agents, and you can only use approved CRST agents and brokers. Now if you go on their load board, then everything on there is approved, so anything on their load board is approved, but off their load board you still have to call the broker or call the agent, set that load up, and then when they deliver the load, you have to call back that broker and agent, and I guess it's called closing out the load or whatever, where you're going to basically say, hey, we delivered the loads off the trailer, we're good to go. Then they close it out, and then you got to find another load, preferably before you deliver, because if you wait till you deliver, according to these drivers, you're probably not going to get loaded that day, because most of the loads in that area is probably going to be gone for the day. So you kind of got to have your load set up before you make your delivery of where your next load is going to be. So it's a little bit, you got a lot more work to do, we'll put it that way, than my trainer had at TMC. My trainer at TMC just basically waited for a phone call. Once in a while he'd call the guy, he'd be like, hey, you got any loads? And then the guy would be like, oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to call you, we got this, this, and this, okay, I'll take that. And that was about the extent of what he did. He didn't have to deal with brokers, he didn't have to deal with agents, nothing like that. So in my research of looking into CRST, that is one thing you're definitely going to have to do. You're more like an owner-operator at CRST than probably with most lease companies. I don't know how every one of them works, but I do know how TMC worked. That's the way they worked anyways in 07. I'm assuming they're still doing it like that. I don't know. But that's just a little thing that I found that is definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. And that's not a problem. That's just something you're going to have to learn to do. You're going to have to learn to call, deal with agents, deal with brokers, set up loads, shut down loads, or close out loads or whatever, and stuff like that if you're going to go on that lease purchase through CRST. I don't know how the van side works. I don't look into the van. I don't care about the van, so they might be different on the van side. I don't know, but this is the flatbed side I'm talking about. So the flatbed side is definitely more like an owner-operator, to where you're going to have to find your own loads. You're going to have to set that stuff up. If you don't find a load, you're going to be sitting, and if you're sitting, then it's 100% your fault because you didn't set that stuff up. You can't sit there and say, well, they didn't give me a load. Apparently it's not their responsibility to find you a load. That's your responsibility. So you're going to have a lot more control at CRST of what you're doing, of where you're going, what load you're going to pull, and stuff like that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. If you were looking into CRST about that, you're going to have to dispatch yourself. You're going to have to find your own loads. I don't know how much help they're going to give you. I mean, obviously I'm not driving for them yet, so I don't know how much of a support system they got in helping you find loads, or if they don't help you at all. It's like, hey, that's all on you, man. At your truck, find your load. You know what I mean? And that's just something you probably ain't going to find out until you actually get there and start pulling loads and see how that works. But that's it. I just wanted to get on here real quick. I don't know how long we're into this video, but anyways, I wanted to get on here and let anyone know that if they're looking at CRST on a flatbed side, that you're going to have to find your own loads. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Go into the comment section, like, share, all that cool stuff. And I'll make a video in another couple of days or next week. Thanks for watching.